guys hear me without the mic?
No.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So presentation is coming up now. Thank you very much, guys, for having us. And I just realized I overdressed myself this morning. But cool. But that's fine. Thank you for having us. I was really hoping that not many people would say present here for the presentation. They're all here for the presentation, so we'll hopefully make it well. We're 2 of 3 people at the City of Toronto. We started sort of dabbling into automated vehicles around 2015 timeframe, and this is where we are. It's the 2 of us are project leads. There's a manager, Ryan Lanyon, and you can follow us. Google City of Toronto and automated vehicles, and a lot more will show up than what's up here. So moving on, this is sort of the government pitch that we don't have an official policy. City Council has not yet decided on automated vehicles. So this is all staff opinion. We're doing a lot of research. We're talking to senior staff, government officials, and we're still in the recommendation stages. So what is an automated vehicle? Let's start with sort of level 0 that we have here. That's sort of what you can think of as sort of the muscle car your father or grandfather owned. That means zero cruise control. It's if the driver sort of passes out, the vehicle will go and hit whatever's in front of it. It has nothing, no capabilities. It will just sort of run the road. It's an engine and a gas pedal and the brake pedal, and that's it. Then we get to sort of partial automation where we have level 1 and 2, and this is where we can start getting 1 or 2 features. One feature being cruise control. So if you have a cruise control, congratulations, you're driving an automated vehicle, which I am, but my car's a little old. Then we have 2 features. So that would be sort of a cruise control plus lane centering or cruise control plus braking, that type of thing, where the vehicle has a bit more smarts, but it can't do, it still needs a driver. And the dividing line between sort of 4 and 3, this big dividing line, sort of brain on and brain off. That's my sort of loosely worded spiel. Where everything above this line, the driver has to be brain on, he has to be paying attention, and Tesla kind of fits somewhere around here-ish, where the driver has to, if the driver has to figure out where the traffic lights are, what not to hit, where he can go, and the vehicle does most of it, but the driver is still responsible. After this sort of level 4 area, where the vehicle sort of has more smarts and intelligence, and it can figure things out for itself a bit more. And the technical definition for an automated vehicle is a vehicle in which some aspects of a safety critical function can take place without driver input. So moving on, where are we sort of in the realm of manufacturers and automation? This chart pretty much changes month to month. Each automaker keeps publishing new data, and they keep trying to bring things forward a bit faster. But you can see, for example, there's some manufacturers that they don't even, it's not a linear progress. It goes all the way from Waymo is the Google car, right? That's Waymo's the parent company, and they're sort of jumping straight to level 4. We have other manufacturers that are slowly going up the curve. For example, Honda and Audi, for example, that's a very linear curve. And we have, for example, Kia. They just want to jump to level 3 directly, they're all on different spectrums, and they're all trying to push at different times. So some of the emerging issues. GM, for example, they said that they want to have a driverless fleet by next year. Waymo is really aggressive with its testing. They've ordered a lot of vehicles. They have, I believe, 6 million vehicle kilometers. I just read that headline today of driving in full autonomous where the driver hasn't touched the wheel. Las Vegas has a shuttle, and Uber's already in Toronto Street. They're doing it in manual mode, but they're testing the waters within Toronto itself. Another side of this is sort of the integration that's happening within Toronto. Google, one of Google's, affiliated companies, which is Sidewalk Labs, they've come into Toronto. There's a partnership that they've engaged in with the City of Toronto, and the agreement is that Sidewalk will work with manufacturers of self-driving vehicles to identify and test 6 to 10 person shuttles between Distiller District, Cherry Beach, with a target operational date of summer 2018. Toronto-specific conditions will be closely studied, particularly with respect to snow and AV technology. So they're just coming here, they're just trying to figure out what can be done within the Toronto space, and they'll be proposing several projects moving forward.
Great.
Great. So just wanted to introduce a little bit of the work that the City of Toronto has done. So really early on in our collective learning curve, we kind of went out to the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area residents. So we did a survey of about 3,200 residents. And just a few highlights and what really kind of informed how we move forward. The public saw the strongest benefit from AVs being the increase in safety, so the perceived increase that they would see. Half of Toronto residents said that they would commute farther in an automated vehicle, with almost half of those residents across the GTHA saying the same. And the public generally saw automation as something that shouldn't be discouraged. So at the very least, they thought we as the City of Toronto should be monitoring the progress moving forward. So in terms of the status of AVs in Toronto, so a lot of what we've done to date has really been staff discussions and strategizing. So the City of Toronto has an interdivisional working group on automated vehicles, so we have 22 different divisions across the city who collaborate on this topic. So Raphael from Civic Tech has actually introduced us to you guys, and he was involved in some of our internal consultation with the working group as well. So it's a really interesting forum because you have everyone from fire services to public health around the table who you don't really think would normally have that sort of relationship to AVs. All of our work really started in 2016. City Council requested that we do some research on preparations, potential implications. We reported back to them in 2018, and it was actually really well received. So to this point, it's really a matter of the research, and they gave us a few additional kind of requests moving forward. So exploring partnerships with other levels of government, which we've been doing, joining the Municipal Alliance for Connected and Autonomous Vehicles in Ontario. So really just a number of things to kind of increase where we've been moving forward with. So we started in transportation services. So our automated vehicles group is housed in transportation services at the City of Toronto. And we actually have a 3-year work plan within our division. So it's really been focused on leadership and engagement, preparation, and integration. We have a variety of different projects that we've done with that. So this is just a few of them. It started off with a white paper that was done by David Tickle from the University of Toronto. And it was really Toronto-specific research on the AV impact. So that can be accessed online if anyone's ever interested. Easy Google search to show that up. We did our public opinion research. We've done some scenario building. We've done a historical review of the automobile. It's been a lot of really learning and kind of assessing the impacts within the City of Toronto.
One of the things quickly to add is that within the City of Toronto itself, we're realizing that automated vehicles is not just a transportation issue. It seems like transportation right now because it says vehicles in the name, but it's actually, the vehicle itself is just a platform for other services, other functions of city life. Just the way your phone right now, even though we call it a smartphone, it's not really a phone. It's a platform to do other things. Just like the vehicle, the automated vehicle can impact every single city division that exists within the City of Toronto and beyond. So some of the things of what some of the data. What does automated vehicles have to do with tech and data? This is sort of a similar cross section. I think it's very close to your University of Dundas. And this is, when we're driving, we don't think of all the different decision-making, or rather, all the different decisions we have to make. But these are the different things that essentially, the City of Toronto has an open data policy where we try to get a lot of as much data as we can into public hands. When you guys search up the next TTC bus, that's through open data, where the TCC publishes, vehicle locations of different buses, and that gets published, and different apps sort of aggregate that data and give you a calculated result. So in terms of the streetscape, we want to publish a lot of different data in the future, so that these automated vehicles can actually harness that data for decision making. Right now, a lot of the different decisions that these vehicles are making is based on the things that they see, but this data can definitely make them make decisions more efficiently, better, safer, etc. Some of the different data tools, for example, is our signal phasing. Is the signal light green? Is it red? Rather than the vehicle having to see the signal, if it was able to get that data for not just this signal phase, but the different signal phases down the road, it will be able to either accelerate, decelerate, or at least act in a much safer way. Traffic sign, for example, it needs to know where Dundas is, where Bremner is, where University Avenue starts and where it ends. We know that because of our own history and our own decision making, but these vehicles will definitely perform a lot better if they have those tools available to them. Where the curb ends, for example, if this was snow covered, me and you can sort of figure out, okay, fine, that's where this is where this barrier is. If the snow is, for example, up until waist high, we can figure out what. Generally, that's where the road ends. I'll stay away a few feet just to be safe. But these vehicles need to know exactly to the millimeter where the lane ends. where the lane marking, next line, where the lane markings are, where the pedestrian crosswalk is, where the stopping restrictions are. We're able to read signs very easily, and these vehicles are generally able to read signs. But imagine if we have a future where we don't need signs at all. Essentially, all you see is a beautiful city without all the sign clutter. That is possible with this technology. And also work zones. For example, imagine a vehicle, this is pointing to pick up and drop off zone. So this week, imagine an automated Uber in the future where it will be told via open data that you're only allowed to drop passengers in these particular areas where it's safe to do so. Not in the middle of an intersection, not in dangers, no stopping zone, etc., etc. And also where the integration to public transit is. And where stopped vehicles are, where disabled vehicles are. And of course, construction corner. You'll see some of the signs. For example, we already have the messaging. This is designed for human eyes, but you can see that from a computer perspective, it can't even read what that sign says. So if we can publish that data, these vehicles will be able to navigate and choose the routing much more efficiently. And also, street signs and also road widths. We don't know whether these vehicles will be able to understand the lane markings the way it is right now. Do we need to upgrade our lane markings? Do we need to make the lane markings thicker? For example, some of the lane markings you'll probably see, after the winter, after the snowplow has hit it a few times, the lane markings start to fade. And come springtime, will these vehicles be able to see the lane markings the way humans see them? If me and you, if we're driving down the road and a few lane markings are missing, we can interpolate that, there's a lane back there, there's a lane up ahead, there's probably a lane over here. But these vehicles might not be able to do that. So we want to make sure that we're able to communicate. So even if all the lane markings are wiped out by snowplows, the vehicles know that there's supposed to be 4 lanes here, each lane is this much, these many feet in width, and this is where I need to stay. And also the center line, and these are sort of the directional, if I want to exit, if the vehicle wants to exit, it has to stay, pick the right lanes.
So just before we end off, some of our next steps. So my next step is going to be our AV tactical plan. So this is essentially the position that we're trying to create and take to council on AVs. So it's a series of 10 statements. We're in the consultation phase, and we can go a little bit more into that later if we need, but we are doing a variety of other projects. So a fleet automation work plan, a signs and markings automation work plan, more public opinion, and potentially a pilot project in the near future, so stay tuned for that.
And we have samples of your tactical plan?
No, we have a primer plan if anyone's interested. So this is essentially the tactical plan. So it's a series of 10 statements. This can be found online as well with our city council report. But it's really the direction that we want to move forward with. It's something that we're consulting the divisions on, and it gives us a way of assessing which actions we need to take as a city in relation to automation. So I've highlighted the 2 that are really data related, since Civic Tech TO, I figured that would be of interest, and it's actually the ones that we really have a lot of questions with as well. So privacy and security has been huge, even with the Sidewalk Toronto discussions, something the City of Toronto is trying to wrap our heads around as well. And then in terms of business intelligence, so a lot of what we've heard from industry is we have this opportunity to be collecting data and improving our services and moving forward within each divisions, but how are we going to do that as such a large organization? So I'm just going to end off with something that we like to raise in a lot of our presentations. So a healthy level of skepticism about really this whole automated vehicles discussion. So there are 3 myths that are raised in this book, posted right there, and they're all related to automation, but it was essentially about sea exploration, aviation, and so forth. So the myth of linear progress is the assumption that automation is going to be a step-by-step progress. So we're going to go from level 0 to level 1 to level 2, which isn't the case. As Fahad showed, Wayne was going from 0 to 4, so it won't be an easy step-by-step process. And the myth of replacement, so that automation will essentially replace the human driver, is not really the case as well. There's always going to be a requirement of the human driver to essentially be dealing with it remotely in a lot of scenarios. And then finally, the myth of full autonomy. So the idea that we're going to have a fully autonomous vehicle with no human input, there will still be an opportunity for human drivers to decide how aggressive they potentially want their vehicle to be driving. It's sort of the same as a lot of technology that we have today, and that you'll be able to program your vehicles the way you would need. So this is all to say the future of automation isn't straightforward. Our presentation is very City of Toronto focused on what we've been doing, so I'm very excited to hear really any future questions we have. And just based off the introductions, I'd like to extend really the invitation. We do a lot of work with universities, with anybody that's interested in the AV field. So if you want to reach out, our emails are always open. You can contact us right away, and we'd be happy to have a more in-depth discussion. And with that, I guess
and I have one closing remark, just one side before. Generally, the main surrounding theme that we're seeing in automation is this message, which is rough road ahead. It's very automation is not what we think of it. It's not just a stairway to heaven type of thing. There's a lot of ups and downs. There will be a lot of proof of concepts. There will be a lot of failures, and there will be something that needs to be tested and sort of proofed out. And again, there's a lot of myths about automation, but there's also a lot of benefits that we can see and that we can achieve as a city.
Great. So if anybody has any questions, we're happy to take them.